Hello, welcome to PGurus. I'm answering all the unanswered questions from 82 to 80, episodes 82 to 86. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps the algorithm. Thank you. So first, Ranjan Mohanty. Can India now do what it did with Sikkim in the 1970s? I don't think we can. Good question. I don't think we can. I think the most obvious candidate for that would be Bhutan and Nepal, but no, we won't be able to do it anymore. Um, well, militarily, sure. The question is, can we withstand all the international opprobrium that comes our way? And no, we can't. Next. Shivendra Singh, your take on Chandigarh Defense Lobby and their association with Raga. Can you throw some light on how they used to operate M? What is M? I'd really appreciate, Shivendra, if you type in the entire thing. I don't think Panag is part of the Chandigarh Defense Lobby at all. There are lots of people in the Chandigarh Defense Lobby, and we never know what they want. It keeps evolving from issue to issue to issue. And basically, they're all your retired army officers. Most of them, not all of them. And as for this Operate M, I don't know what M is. So, sorry. Next. Subramaniam Vishwanathan. What will happen to India if we start buying oil from Iran? Can we cope with the pressures, the economic benefits? There is no real ban on oil with Iran. The thing is, our refineries are uniquely suited to Iranian oil. The main thing about Iranian oil right now is that it is an older, their machines are much older, so they're not producing the kind of oil suited to absolutely spanking new these things. And the latest round of sanctions effectively destroyed their ability to upgrade their infrastructure on this score, number one. Number two, see, there's a layer of secondary sanctions. And what the Americans are happy for you to do is to trade on Iranian oil, except that if you trade on Iranian oil, you end up paying much less than market rates. And so what ends up happening is Iran actually ends up selling oil to you at a significant loss in exchange for liquidity in their markets, that they've got some kind of foreign currency to inject into their markets, which the Americans are still quite happy with. However, this time, unlike the first time, we refuse to even trade on those favorable terms with Iran because we've been having a lot of problems with Iran. You remember Chabahar? Chabahar was meant to come online a very long time back. The Iranians have put as many blockades as they possibly can. The Delaram-Zaranj highway into Afghanistan. The Iranians have put, again, as much blockades as they can on it. And we're like, you know what? This is a game two can play. So that's what's been happening. Next. Naman Kandpal, is it true that America didn't provide Australia with the source codes for the F-16, F-18 for friend-foe identification, and Australia had to find a backdoor entry to it? They don't have F-16s, they have F-18s. And it is correct, they were not given source codes, but look, source codes are shared with very few countries, if at all, because they are commercial property. You understand? They are commercial property, and even the American government, given the business restrictions, even the American government does not have the ability to force a company to give out its source codes, number one. Number two, the threat codes were given out to the UAE for the UAE F-18s, F-16, sorry, because the UAE lives in a very dynamic area where they're constantly picking up electronic signals. And they wanted the ability to transform those signals into jamming, and so they were given the rights to do it. Does Australia get given the threat codes or not? We still don't know. There's a lot of questions about it, and the main reason is Australia doesn't engage in commercial espionage. You see, they don't fly things close to China or any of the countries that have critical military equipment, so their intelligence gathering capacity is very limited. And so there's a very good chance that America hasn't given them either the threat codes or the source codes. On the other hand, because they're part of the Five Eyes, they might have been given it. But I've never gotten a straight answer to this. Next. Peace and logic. Does the US still control South America? No. Nowhere near as much as they did once upon a time. Once upon a time, every South American president, their first trip had to be to America. And America had a certain level of control across the region. Today, at most, they would have some rudimentary control over Colombia at best, but even there, I'd say not much. Even, the smaller Central American states like Guatemala or the Belize and things like that, sure, some level, but again, nowhere near what it used to be once upon a time. Next. Is it true that Rafale-M is being preferred over F-18 for naval trials? No. The naval trials were held to decide which one was preferred. Personally, they shouldn't have been held because you already have the Rafale and you should have never had the option of the F-18. Is it really possible that we will acquire them? Yes. Both Navy and Air Force pilots train at Air Force Academy. Shouldn't have. Yes, they should. That was the point. That was the whole point why I didn't want the F-18 trial. I mean, you can't have an Air Force with one platform and a Navy with another platform. You need to standardize the platform and have economies of scale. So yes, it should have been done, but it wasn't done. And anyway, now it's being done. You could have negotiated a much better offset package if you had bought both the Rafale C for the Air Force and the M for the Navy together. But well, look, it is what it is. Next. Raghuram Chadlavada. How many state elections do you think the Congress will win post the Bharat Jodo Yatra? Look, buddy, I'm maybe Karnataka. Now, the strange thing about Karnataka is that I have more confidence in the BJP than the BJP seems to have on itself about winning. The BJP seems to have kind of given up. I haven't. But what's strange is the Congress has also given up because the Congress camp is so divided. They don't think they can win either. So you have the BJP that thinks it can't win, and the Congress that also thinks it can't win. And I suspect that the BJP will just get ahead by like 5-10 seats at most, something like that. So to answer your question, post Bharat Jodo, diddly squat. Nobody's winning. Well, Congress isn't winning at any rate. Global pandemic treaty, end of sovereignty, pandemmed. Okay. India is constricting Ottoman Empire dreams from 5 neighboring countries of Turkey aim. Are you ready for climate lockdowns and cricket proteins? What's the connection? What is the connection? I don't think India's constricting diddly squat. We don't really have the expertise to do it around Turkey. And climate lockdowns and cricket proteins? No, hell no. I'm not eating that crap. Thank you very much. Next. Sahil Mahajan, is India buying Russian oil benefiting the US as the war is being funded and in turn US arms sales soaring? Well, India buying Russian oil benefits Russia, not the US. It does benefit US in that it helps bring down the price of oil, I guess. It keeps the market running, and the US can seem to have taken a moral position against it without actually have taken a moral position against it. And is the Ukraine war helping US arms sales? Yes. But is Indian purchase of Russian oil helping it? No. Next. Venkatrama Muthusamy, will Sethu Samudram project be economically viable and technically feasible? Look, it's never been technologically and economically feasible. I can tell you this for a fact. It's very shallow water. The amount of dredging you'll have to do is enormous. Okay. Second, the area of the dredging you have to do, because it's an island where you have strong currents coming on both sides and depositing soil, is again enormous. Third, and this is particularly important, the amount of time it takes. These days, all the secondary ports have become empty. Nobody wants to stop at Karachi port anymore because a port needs to have at least a $30 billion hinterland, economic hinterland, for any ship to make it worthwhile to land out there. Ships have, you remember once upon a time how airliners from the Delhi to London route, it used to be Delhi to Bahrain, Bahrain to Rome, then Rome to London. You had to have two stops in between. Today you go direct. Ships have become like that. They now go direct from the Suez to Singapore. Okay, and what happens is, in order to get to Madras, the so-called shortcut to Madras, they would much rather maintain speed. And think of my head as Sri Lanka, and think of this light here as Madras port. That's approximately where Madras port is, and this is my head, right? Think of it in reverse, of course, because it's kind of, my head should be here. Yes, okay, like this. Let's do it this way. Okay, so that is that is Madras, and this is Sri Lanka. It is easier and cheaper for a ship to sail full speed around my face like this here than it is for the ship to go slowly through the strait. It's easier for the ship to sail through here at full speed rather than, go slowly through the Pock Straits, slow down, wait for the dredging, slow down, and then finally reach Madras. So it doesn't make any kind of economic sense at all. At all. Next. Hardik Thanki. Who has better battle? Boss, I'm not getting into this. Battlefield commanders, they're both very dynamic things. Stop looking for equivalent comparisons. Things are just different. More than commanders, it has to do with logistics and supplies and things like that as well. It's a very difficult question to answer, except in hindsight as such. Next. Revant Reddy, how has America's universalized healthcare system defeated the common logic of economics and created issues? I don't understand that question. Could you be specific? Please stop using jargon in your questions. If you have a question, just ask me what it is. I can't understand what this common logic of economics is. Santosh Kiran Sulake. Hello, sir. Your opinions about KCR and his ambitions to go national. I'm from Hyderabad, and my opinion, he's corrupt. Well, he may be corrupt, but every businessman I meet tells me that he's fantastic to deal with. He understands exactly what's required, and he goes over and above the call of duty to help Telangana business people. Now, if he's taking commission on the side to do that, I really don't have an issue with that. Remember, Lee Kuan Yew was like that. Everybody knew he made money, but he used to bat big time for Singaporean businesses. So with KCR, you think he's corrupt. Maybe he's taking money on the side, sure. But I have never heard from the Telangana business lobby about somebody who's done more for Telangana businesses. His entire taking off of Adani is because he's batting for the Telangana infrastructure lobby to get all the contracts that are being given to Adani. Right? So I think it's admirable when people bat for their own businesses, for their own private businesses. So he's a pure capitalist. I will never attack a capitalist. Very good person. I total support 100%. His national ambitions, I'm not so sure about. I think he has to develop a persona, a marketing line, and a language for to go national. I don't think it's there yet. Next. PKPB. Nice. I found Greek wines to be much better than French. Your views? No. Sorry, disagree. The Greek wines are decent. Look, there's lots of bad French wines. It depends on, I would say 90% of French wines are mediocre to bad, but that 10%, they really make a difference. Greek wines are And they're not great. Let's put it that way. I'm yet to taste a great Greek wine. Next. Shurveen Shelke. Should India go for 114 Rafale Gripen? Would US offer F-35? Why Uttam not ready? Uttam not ready. Uttam will never be ready. Indian military complex future the same as it always is. Lots of scale models at Aero India. Nothing to show for. Look, tough question, boss. Just for the sake of standardization, I'd say Rafale. On the other hand, you need a high-low combination. Right now, you have too many twin-engine models. You have your Jaguar is a twin-engine, your Rafale is a twin-engine, your Sukhoi is a twin-engine. Where is the light single-engine fighter? So you need about 300-400 single-engine fighters. In terms of cheapness of weapons and things like that, it would be the F-21. But if you want that sort of independent whatever, then go for the Gripen. Either one is good. Just go for something and make it single engine. F-35 I oppose for the simple reason that the F-35 is a heavily integrated system. The amount of money you'll have to spend getting everything else. See, it can't function without all the supporting access, like a compatible AVAX, like a compatible naval platform, a compatible submarine platform to feed it real time. And yes, submarines can, through their land control, communicate with the F-35 and queue in an attack immediately. That's the genius of the F-35. See, it's a flying supercomputer. It does the kind of communications that simply weren't possible. If you have a ground radar operator, from a few 100 kilometers away, it can actually plug into the ground radar and see what the ground radar is seeing and add it to its threat database. Okay, so it's a fantastic system. The thing is, everything around it needs to be compatible. Everything needs to be NATO compatible. So the costs of integrating it and bringing it up to that operational standard are ruinous. Okay, and without that, it's just not going to work as advertised, right? So there's like, for example, a BMW will not work with your roadside mechanic. You need to only take it to BMW mechanic to get it fixed and things like that, right? It's the same thing. So personally, I'm fine with either Rafale or Gripen. Just buy about 200 more, boss. 114 ka kuch nahi chalega. You need about 200-300 more. But then if you're buying that many Rafales, then retire the Sukhois. Then you don't need the Sukhois. No, it's the same effective job that they're doing. And buy 300-400 Gripens, or at least get some kind of thing where you salvage the wreck that is the Tejas and turn it into some kind of a Gripen minus or something like that. Have you thought about switching to nicotine gum and keep sharing your wisdom for a long time? I don't know if you've seen this, Dr. MPC, but I never actually ingest the smoke. I actually take it in and take it out. So I'm not actually a nicotine addict. That's a strange thing. So when I was in jail for those, 43 days, I never had withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. No pain at not being able to smoke at all. Yeah, so it's just one of those things. It's more a tactile habit. And I still can't deal with smoke going down my throat. I can't ingest. I can't inhale it. It's more a tactile thing than it is a nicotine need thing. So, so for example, Juul and nicotine gum was like, hey, what is this crap? And I couldn't deal with it. Next. Partho Pradeep Hoikia. If Reconquista can happen, why did it not happen in India? And can you briefly explain how Reconquista happened in Spain? It did happen in India. It did happen in India, and people don't remember this, but the Maratha Empire reconquered most of India from Muslim rulers. The exceptions were the Suba of Bengal and Odisha. Odisha was captured by the Marathas from the Bengal Suba, and the Hyderabad Nizam. So it did happen It did happen. The thing was, Shivaji and the Marathas were not religious bigots. Remember, monotheism doesn't allow itself to that kind of absolute bigotry that monotheism would. Okay, so in the Reconquista, there was this very clear religious angle to it. In the Indian Reconquista, there was no religious angle to it in that sense, right? And there was a big question mark around it because the kind of atrocities that the Marathas committed in Bengal, I can honestly tell you, Bengalis were happier to be under the British than they were under either the Marathas or the Siraj-ud-Dawla and the Muslim rule. People don't realize this, but the Borghese of the Marathas, the Maratha light cavalry, they killed close to somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million Bengalis, women and children, raped, killed, tortured, pillaged, everything like that. Bengal's experience with Maratha rule was not nice. Huh? And it wasn't Maratha rule, it was Maratha raids for 10 years, 1740 to 1750, something like that. It was not nice, it was genocidal. But it did happen, the Reconquista did happen. Next. Millennial Mind, can you talk about anti-Brahmin politics in Maharashtra, especially by the NCP, and how Maratha kings did ghar wapsi of some Muslims in spite local opposition? No, I can't. Mostly because I don't know much about it. All I do know is there was a Maratha anti-Brahmin policy, and most of it has been justified by the fact that Peshwa rule was extremely casteist because they were all Brahmins, etc., etc., and caste oppression rose under the Peshwas, and therefore there is a whole environment against it. But beyond that, I don't know much, and therefore I'm not going to go into it. Next. Dr. MPC, what's the path to patent a military innovation as an Indian citizen? I heard that it's going to be classified and won't get granted patent or royalty. No, it does not. You don't put it as a military innovation, you just send it to the patent office and it gets patented. It's that simple. The problem is, best of luck trying to get the patent office to move. They take 3, 4, 5 years to grant patents. And you have to get sifarish in order for them to actually move their ass. They do nothing. They just sit and do diddly squat. But no, it does not get classified unless you make a case in your patent that it is highly classified. This is highly classified, it is of national importance. Then you look at it and go, so is classified. But you do get granted royalties for it. That is the whole point of a patent. Next. Roshan, RBI hates crypto despite illegal activities being able to use currencies such as dollar and rupee. Does tokenization blockchain have the potential to increase transparency? So, Roshan, this has a lot to do with how backward our financial forensic systems are. See, blockchain plus crypto help you. See, at some point, it has to materialize into a tangible financial transaction, because not everybody is going to accept crypto. And at that point, so for example, if I am supplying Semtex to my friendly local jihadi to blow up something, I don't accept crypto. I only accept rupees. So at some point, he has to convert that crypto. And mind you, crypto is a bit of a circle jerk. It has validity only to the people who believe in it. For me, I have zero belief in crypto, and so far I'm never going to accept crypto. Most people simply will not accept crypto. Okay. So at some point, that transition has to happen from crypto to Indian rupee. And that is where the entire thing about blockchain plus crypto helps. Even without blockchain, it helps, because blockchain's value is more in terms of contract validity and things like that, with a third party overseer. In this case, even without that blockchain, you can see where it's being converted, but blockchain makes the process a lot easier to see where has that hawala actually taken place, where has an e-currency been converted into tangible currency. So you may not know that Jihadi X has given this to Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, but you know where that transaction happened, and therefore you can throw that guy in jail. And I don't approve of torture, obviously, and used enhanced interrogation methods to find out who converted it and who it was given to. Next. Naman Kandapal, is there any merit to the so-called confidential report of SP Lay, which says 26 to 65 PP were lost? I don't know. I don't know, because remember, I only look at satellite imagery. And in satellite imagery, it's impossible to say where patrolling points have been lost. We look at tangible infrastructure, and we can only comment on tangible infrastructure. Okay. My issue with this is on grounds of logic. How can you say patrol points have been lost? Who's stopping you from patrolling there when we haven't seen, to stop you from patrolling, a physical infrastructure has to come up to prevent that patrolling. We've not seen the physical infrastructure come up on the Chinese side to prevent that patrolling. So how have you been prevented from patrolling out there is what we still don't understand. You have no reason to doubt it, but we don't understand the logic of what he's saying. Next. Arun, why are there no other political parties for Hindus? Where is the Hindu political far left? How would a far left Hindu party look like? There won't be a the whole point of the far left is abnegation of identity. You can't have a far left Hindu party. And a left Hindu party is what the BJP is. It is not a right party. It is a left Hindu party. Okay, so it's basically communism plus Hindutva. That's it. Lenin used to say that communism is Marxism plus electricity. In India, communism is Marxism plus Hindutva, basically. So you've got as far left a Hindu party as you possibly can get. Next. Revant Reddy, what are your comments on the union budget and tax cuts? Any signs of shredding the title of saffron communism? Yeah. I'm quite happy with the tax cuts, boss. And it was done in a fiscally responsible way. It wasn't done in a fiscally irresponsible way. Saffron communism, has more to do with regulation and harassment and privatization. So privatization is happening. Air India happened, thank God. Like, that was one of the big things for me. So privatization is happening, which is good. Can Sarkari Raj, that is to say bureaucratic Raj, reduce a bit? Yes, sure. That's the one big thing I'm still waiting for. But other than that, it was a pretty decent budget. I mean, I haven't met anybody my mom is usually unhappy. There hasn't been a single budget that my mom has been happy with in the last 15 to 20 years. And she's the financial genius in the family, right? I'm a financial ignoramus. She's happy with the budget. That is really something for me. So yeah. Next. Guts the Black Swordsman. Hello, Abhijit. What do you think about Nathuram Godse killing Gandhi? Would Gandhi have done more harm to India if the assassination did not happen? Mixed bag. Yeah, I think that's where Nathuram Godse was coming from, that he thought that Mohandas would have done more harm to India and it was better to get rid of him. My personal opinion, of course, is that the cult of Mohandas has done more damage to India than Mohandas himself. And with the benefit of hindsight, it might have just been better to let the man live and discredit himself completely and have destroyed the cult earlier than even today. The cult is all pervasive. So, I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, these things are easy. But at that time, Nathuram Godse did what he thought was the best thing for India. Next. Shani Jawa Khaniwaja. Hi, I'm an American YouTuber named Whatty Faldist. Has made a 2-part series about Indian civilization. Could you please share your thoughts and about it the next time? I don't think I have the time to watch something that big, but let me take a photo of this. and I shall try to watch it. Next. Revant, how has South India fared with the caste system and Hindu consolidation, with or without the influence of BJP? Heard Tamil Nadu super casteist. Any solutions? So, what happened with the South was there were a whole set of middle castes that got liberated with the anti-caste movement. So in Tamil Nadu, it was the Kaundars and the Tevars, which still form the backbone of the political system in Tamil Nadu. In Andhra, it was, you didn't really have an anti-caste movement out there, but I guess it's always been the Reddys versus Naidus, always been very rich. In Karnataka, it's always been the Vokaligas against the Lingayats. Okay. So you've seen what's happened is this Brahmin domination has been replaced by a dual two castes anywhere. It doesn't even have to be a OBC caste, but two castes, usually not SC/ST, have come up in opposition to each other, and invariably there is a lot of oppression of the SC/STs under them, because remember, most of the Brahmins provided the theological rationale for the oppression. The actual execution of the oppression was carried out by the middle castes who owned the land and things like that. Which is why you see people like, say, Panruti Ramachandran and Ramados, who started the Patali Makkal Kachi, the PMK, arise in opposition to the DMK and the ADMK. That was the SC/ST voice being added to the national thing, and you've seen that only arise of late in the last 15-20 years. Tamil Nadu isn't super casteist as far as I can tell. These days nobody really gives a damn about caste. Anti-Brahminism, yeah, but I've never seen anybody practice untouchability as far as I can tell in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure some people do somewhere, but I haven't seen it, so I really can't tell. Next. Lord Genome 1000, what do you think about the show Trial by Fire? Look, I live very close to the Upahaar cinema, right? Like, I pass it every day. But I wasn't here when that fire happened. Do the ansals deserve to be punished? Yes, obviously. Did they get away with it? Yes, they did. They got away very lightly with it. But what are you going to do? This is the way our judicial system works. You can't make a law just to punish the ansals now. You've exhausted all the methods available to you. And ultimately, they settled at a punitive, at almost nothing. This was like the BMW hit and run case, and that the kid that did that case, remember, witnesses were killed in that also. Some witnesses recanted, some were killed, and the courts did nothing to prevent any of it or give security to anyone in that. So people get away with this kind of crap. There's nothing you can do about it. It shows you that there is a need for systemic change and how corrupt the judicial system is, how corrupt the police system is. But nobody wants to talk about police reforms or judicial reforms. What do you do? Next. Revant, how capitalist was Ambedkar? Very capitalist, because he believed that capitalism is what will give the Dalit the right, the ability to become socially mobile. Historically, if you look at it, it is capitalism, the guilds and things like that, that turned lower class men into higher class men in Europe, who then came to control the economy and replace the nobility, right? So whereas social reforms interlinked, not socialism and government control, he did not want that. That was the whole point, because he believed that government control basically empowers, correctly so, empowers the existing hierarchies. And that is why he was such a big capitalist, because he wanted people to be able to lift themselves up, right? And of course, much of the literature is distorted, because they wanted you to believe that he was pro-Islam, pro-Christian, anti-Hinduism, which he was not. And they want you to believe that he was this left-wing paragon, which he was not. He was quite harshly to the capitalist right, economically speaking. So yeah, read The unedited works, those are the best. Okay? Next. That's the Black Swordsman. Do you think a Jewish-style settlement model for the Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir will be successful? Yes, I've been advocating it for a very long time, but why just Kashmiri Pandits? I think Biharis and Udiyas and Thakur Sahibs and everybody should be allowed to settle down there. I mean, I'm allowed to buy a house in UP, aren't I? I'm allowed to buy a house in Delhi, so why shouldn't I be allowed to buy a house in Kashmir? And my aim is very good, you know. I'm a member of the National Rifle Association in America. I shoot good. Next. Arun, in the USA, Assam tea is being slowly passed out with Chinese tea culture. Really? Do you foresee Assam tea losing market in the long term? No. What is making Assam tea lose market is the fact that we don't brand and snob it up. China has this whole culture of, you know, branding teas like the French do wine and associating a certain snoot and snob value with it. We're not doing that in India. You need all these pseudo Simi Grewal type fake people coming on TV, sipping it and saying, "Oh, this is so lovely, the tannic aftertaste on this. I can actually smell blueberries and cherries in the aftertaste. It's so lovely." You do bullshit like that, you've got branding. And you know, this isn't just Assam tea, it's across the board. We've been telling the government for such a long time, you need an Italian style DOCG or a French style AOC. So, you know, AOC is the Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée, and in Italy, the DOCG is the denominazione de something. But you need those kind of bodies that classify, promote, give a brand value and a snob value to all these things. And that is what you need. The Chinese are doing that for their teas. We're not doing that for our teas. Next. Dr. MPC, do you see an Indian Commonwealth emerging any soon? No time soon. I think you're overstating the case for India, buddy. Next. Chetan Pal, how much skin in the game do Hindus have with respect to Ayyappa devotees? I don't know what the context of this is, Chetan. Sorry. Next. Anya Bhatt. Will one nation, one election benefit the BJP? It'll benefit governance, I can tell you that, because then you won't have to be in election mode 365 days a year, 5 years in a row. I can't see how it benefits the BJP. It benefits no one, really, except the people, in that you get a government that can focus for at least 4 years on governing the country instead of elections. Next. Arun, will there be a turbulent election with fraud allegations in 2024 with Modi losing? Modi is not losing. Will there be fraud allegations? Yes, Rahul will never accept blame for anything, so he'll blame the EVMs and voter fraud. But that's about it. Next. Is IAF and PAF almost same in terms of aircraft? Not even remotely. If yes, how come a country having 10 times less budget is having a good question? See, the Pakistanis invested very wisely in single engine aircraft. So their air force is about half our size, slightly less than half our size, because they invest very wisely. They invest in things that actually matter. And you know, there's 70 odd F-16s and there are 200 odd JF-17s can cause a lot more havoc than all your older models like the MiG-29s or the Jaguars and things like that. Mirage can probably hammer the living daylights out of them. Sukhoi, depending on the situation, it can. But you know, when you decide to have 7, 8, 9 combat types, focus on all the heavy combat types, and you aren't focusing on light aircraft which create bulk, you have a problem. The Pakistanis have been much more rigorous with budgeting and expenditure. Next. Reach Jyoti Hathi. Solution for extorting goon mindset of Indian cops. Body cams. Body cams. Body cams won't solve everything, but they will solve a lot of things. Where a body cam going bad is automatically taken as a sign of guilt of the cop. So you have the body cam, it protects the good cops against harassment, and it protects citizens against bad cops. Okay, it also frees up this need for the district magistrate to authorize shooting, because the camera will always show you when there is enough of a threat situation. And any kind of contact with a cop where he is taking decisions. So, for example, I hear you ask, what if after duty, when he's off the uniform, he goes back to the drug dealer and says, "Hey हरामजादे, मेरे को ना 5 crore कल तक दे दे, नहीं तो फिर मैं तेरे पे रेड मारूंगा." Okay. Now remember, these people don't have acting classes. So when he goes back, the body cam also has to be worn during the decision-making cycle. So how does he know? Some guy will come and say, "Bhaiya, idhar humne drugs ye kar liya hai, chalo raid karo." And then inquiry will find, "Acha, you heard there were drugs and you immediately went. You didn't validate the source of information. Why was it said this way?" Cameras, people don't realize, they actually go a significant deal to preventing off-camera corruption as well. Because when you have to justify decisions taken on the job based on camera footage, you can't get away with acting. And acting, there is always huge gaps in sequences, right? So it's actually an extraordinarily effective tool. And there is a reason it will never be introduced in this country, because everybody wants to abuse the police. Next. Chaitanya Takli. How soon will Germany and France be Islamized? They're not getting Islamized anytime soon, Cupcake. Next. Manthan, does obsession with language, religion destroy society, country like Punjabi Muslims and Tamils? Yes, it does. But no, it doesn't. See, on one hand, you are talking about preservation of something that makes you unique. On the other hand, remember, language is just a means of communication. Religion is a means of social care. It makes you comfortable with things that are beyond your understanding and things like that. So at the same time, religion is what makes you unique and separate. Okay, so you may not believe in religion or language, but others do, and chances are it will be imposed on you. So it both binds, and when taken to extremes, it does destroy. But then what is an extreme? Right? What is an extreme? So assume my kids are being held and tortured for me to convert to Islam. Okay. If I convert, does that make me flexible? Or does it make the guy torturing an extremist? It definitely makes the guy torturing an extremist. But isn't it pragmatic for me to just convert? But then what happens to my culture? Problem, no? So yeah, that's the way it is. It's a lot of problematic questions. Next. Ustad Tweetuddin Khan Chanchad. Do you think Modi is capable of surviving all the attack? Yes, he is. And when 2024, he's almost certainly winning it. Look, the CIA knows how to carry out these things amongst the liberal elite. India's backwardness, India's diversity, and both linguistic and idiomatic diversity is what protects us from these global leftist lobbies. They can't reach out to the ordinary man. And that's what protects us from them. If the world thought based on the New York Times and Washington Post, Modi would have been history long back. Okay. So yeah, next. Manthan. Why Pakistan and Israel, both made in the name of religion, ended up as different? Pakistan was doing better than India economically in the 60s. Yes, they were. And then what happened was that they got into wars of conquest. Israel, on the other hand, did not get into wars of conquest. They went on getting attacked. They constantly had a sense of uh, uh, vulnerability, which made them innovate. Pakistan did not have a sense of vulnerability. Pakistan had a sense of empire. They didn't feel vulnerable. They felt that they deserved much better, that they deserved the entire Mughal empire, which they were denied. And so they had to expand. They never felt a threat, right? So it's a very unique stimulus where both countries formed on religion, and this is the sociological rule. Societies act same when the stimuli are the same. In this case, the stimuli wasn't the same. One was tiny and felt under extraordinary threat. At one point, the middle of Israel, there was just 40 kilometers between the border with the Arab states and the sea. It could have been cut in half. Sense of threat and the need to respond to it, and the vulnerability of size. Pakistan, massive size, zero feeling of vulnerability, need to expand. Produce completely different social reactions. Next. Why was the US military unable to destroy Taliban during the occupation of Afghanistan for such a long time? Why did they allow the country to regress? It's not for them to allow or disallow, Babu. They were unable to destroy the Taliban because the Taliban had refuge in Pakistan. It was that simple. It was that simple. They never went to the snake's nest. They went on killing the fully grown snake after it had come out, but they would never attack the nest. They could not attack the nest. That's what happened. Next. Sheikh Sharma, which airplane you board for domestic travel? Always A32, Airbus A320 family. I refuse to board 737s, especially the MAX. SpiceJet ke purani 737s I'd board, not the new ones. Next one. We said that, but when do you think the EU will be Muslim? I do not think the EU will be Muslim majority. Please stop asking me these dumb questions. It's not becoming a Muslim majority anytime soon. Or in my lifetime at any rate. Balaji KR, what is the origin of rice grain in the Indian subcontinent? I'm sure there's a Wikipedia entry on it, no? What do you mean, who formulated it? Go look up the Wikipedia. They say it was either in China or in India. I mean, I'm not your Wikipedia, you know. Next. Naman Kandapal, what has happened since Trump's visit to now? That's from praising MEA spokesperson to you calling him incompetent. I've never called him competent. I've never praised him. When have I praised him? What do you feel is needed for him? I think he's just the wrong man for the job. It's that simple. He's never been good at his job. Period. Okay, next. Shurveen Shelke, can making a commercial jet engines and aircraft help India make reliable fighter jets? Yes. You know why? It's not the same thing, but it's similar. And there is a rationale where today the civilian market is much bigger than the military market. The civilian market is what accounts for your sustainability and profits. The military market is what drives your innovation. So they're both extremely interlinked. And you need a commercial tail in order to sustain a military core. Across the board, not just engines, everything. Everything, period. Okay? I'm not saying 114 Rafales are bad. I'm saying we need a heck of a lot more. You see, optimally, you should have just two aircraft, a high and a low. Okay? Optimally, the low should be based on a single engine variant of the high. Okay? Now, fine, you can't do that, that's fine. The cost of re-engineering the Rafale with something else would be ruinous. It can't be done, period. Anyway. Now, you need, if you want to maintain a 40 squadron air force, you need about 15 squadrons worth of heavy aircraft. 15 squadrons. So a squadron is what, 21 aircraft? So 15 into 21, you need about 315 Rafales. And you need about 25 squadrons of light aircraft, say the F-16 or the Tejas Tejas is not a combat-ready aircraft in my view right now. But anyway, Tejas or F-16 or Gripen, you need 25 squadrons into 21, 525. Those are the numbers you need. Anything under 250, you are not 250, say about 150. You are not going to create local economies of scale for production. And for a country like India, the reason I said is that the low end needs to be based on the high end, the same engine, the same avionics, etc., is because then your entire 40 squadrons has very similar equipment, which creates huge economies of scale. But ye chutiye karenge nahi, and there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, so that's that. And AMCA, you mark my words, abhi tak Tejas, we don't have a fully operational squadron, boss. You don't have a combat ready squadron of Tejas. AMCA to bahut dur ki baat hai. I will tell you this, the first operational squadron of AMCA will not be operational till I am dead. And no, I'm not offering to jump off a cliff. When I say I'm dead, I'm going to die at around 75, 80. Tab tak koi ye nahi hua hoga. AMCA. Next. Devant, why aren't the Tamil Hindus included in the CIA? Would their inclusion lead to any bad consequences which can't be mitigated? I don't know. Let me check on that. Good question, Revant. I don't know. I think it's because it only involved people who were persecuted, who faced immediate persecution. And Tamil Hindus right now, there is no evidence that they face immediate persecution either in Sri Lanka or Malaysia at the moment. Next. Many friends in my social circle claim Ramayana as misogynistic due to Sita Agni Pariksha. Yes, what are your views? Can we build up an academic argument against such claims? Why should anybody build up an academic argument against such claims? Listen, why do you feel the need to defend every single piece? This is a very Muslim concept, that a Muslim Christian monotheist concept, that everything is the word of God and everything needs to be defended. There are some things that are fundamentally indefensible in the Ramayana. I can't find, yes, I do believe it, large parts of the Ramayana are misogynistic. Okay, be it in terms of the way Sita is treated the first time or the way Sita is treated the second time. During the Agni Pariksha and then being sent off to the forest because somebody says so. It's just plain indefensible. Next. Arthya Tiwari. Don't you think Congress should be de-Gandhified? Yes. If the Congress is to survive, it desperately needs de-Gandhification. But they're not going to do it, no? Because the Gandhis control the purses of everything. Next. Sonia, say clothes at Zara, H&M in Germany are made in China, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Turkey, but I never see anything from India. Is India losing in textiles? Yes, we are. And there's a reason to it. Why Bangladesh overtook India in textiles is because Bangladesh actually allows upscaling. In India, we want MSMEs to remain M, S, and M. Okay, we don't want them upscaling because then the regulatory responsibilities increase exponentially. So we've already lost out big time on textiles. One thing which has improved though is small quantity manufacturing. So for example, a lot of Hermes and Givenchy. Don't look at mass brands like Zara and H&M. A lot of Dolce & Gabbana, Hermes, Versace, they're made in the industrial corridors around Bombay, where there's an extremely high quality requirement. Next. Ananya, but why is Wire and the whole anti-Indian left ecosystem not in jail? In jail for what, Ananya, exactly? You have to commit a crime to be in jail. Just scream against the government is not enough to put you in jail. Next. Hey, how do you retain so much information? I don't have the faintest clue how I retain information. Sorry, no idea, boss. Next. Sandeep K is LGT leader. I don't think so. No, I think the photo of him dead was quite clear. No, uh, and no, I don't think he's alive. If he wanted to come out, he would have come out. He hasn't, has he? So I don't think he'll ever come out. This is just some creep wanting to get some attention. That's it.